I want to talk about why cold email works for some people and it does not work for other people in 2025, and what's the greatest point of leverage. So let's dive into it. So first and foremost is it's direct and personal. You land directly into people's inboxes and you bypass all ads and algorithms. Effectively, Google does not want you getting leads for free. They want you spending money on their platform to be able to get these leads. So Google makes money, which is reasonable. But if you were to send an email, which doesn't cost you anything, by the way, it's completely for free. You send an email to a prospect, again, for free, and it lands in the inbox. As long as it's hyper relevant to the person you're sending it to, them replying to you and that potentially becoming into a deal is worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars down the line. So Google doesn't want you to do it. Right? Number two is the scalability of things. With AI and automation, and especially being able to mass personalized messaging, you could use ChatGPT to be able to scrape somebody's LinkedIn profile and personalize the first line or even the entire message if you want when you're sending it to somebody based on their job profile, how long they've been at the company, and what their interests are. You could personalize the messages using ChatGPT and you could scale that very, very quickly. So the amount of time it takes you to send 10 emails, it will virtually take the same amount of time for you to send 10,000 emails as long as the ICP, the ideal customer persona, is very relevant to who you want to target. Is a very high ROI. I think cold emailing has a significantly higher ROI than any other type of medium I've used, depending on the service I'm selling. For me, for example, let's just say I'm selling lead gen. If I were to run that off Facebook or even Google, if I spend $1, I'll be able to make $1.20 back. But with cold email, I'll spend $1, I could potentially make $10 back. The ROI is just ridiculous, especially if you kind of nail down. There's three things I look for in a cold email. The first thing is the offer. Second thing, risk reversal. Third thing is the case study. 10% is the offer. 10% of the value comes from the risk reversal. 80% comes from the case study. As long as we have a really strong case study and the person is actually looking for what we have, they'll respond to our email. And the fourth thing is still underused. A lot of businesses try it, and a lot of them try it fairly poorly, I would say, just because I don't think they have one of those three things that we have: offer, risk reversal, and case study. And they'll do their best, and they'll basically, after 2 weeks, they'll spend a bunch of money on it and then they'll quit. What ends up happening is, my recommendation, if I were to start cold email and I don't have any positive feeling towards cold email, like there's nothing good that came out of it when I sent the emails out, I'm just kind of sending emails out to the abyss and nothing's happening. What I would probably do is create an offer that you can't deliver on. Ridiculous offer. Hey, if you reply to this email, we'll give you $10,000. I'm making that up. Only because when you send out 10 emails and 3 of them respond back to you positively, you're like, oh, okay, cold email actually does work because people are actually responding to my email. So it's just my messaging that is not making sense. So that's my piece of that. Okay, why do most people fail at cold email? Number one, they're just targeting the wrong people. Back in the day, I'm like a year ago. Back in the day, you could send out 1,000. You could send out in one campaign. You could send out 10,000. You could have 10,000 prospects and send them basically the same email, and so you'll get a 0.51% response rate as long as your offering is and messaging is correct. But nowadays, because there's so much saturation that's happening in the market, because people are getting bombarded with 50, 100 emails a day, that you can't use this shotgun method anymore. Each of your campaigns have to be no more than 50 to 100 people, because it has to be very hyper targeted. It has to be, okay, this person has been at this job for, or this list of prospects, 100 of them, have been at this job for less than a year. They are the VP of product, and they probably have this type of problem, and they're in this type of department, right? So it kind of hyper personalizes the type of person that you're targeting. And the biggest thing, the fix is going to be, you got to research and target the decision makers. And again, ChatGPT helps a lot for this. Instead of you jumping on a lot of calls and just jumping on interview calls and talking to people about their industry and how you can make it better, just jump straight on ChatGPT and it'll start giving you all the information. So you kind of save time that way. Another way is generic emails. That's a big one, right? Just at gmail.com. You want your company name. Like my company, for example, is called Pacific Group, right? But instead of Pacific Group, I will buy another alias, another domain called The Pacific Inc. or The Pacific Incs. or The Pacific Groups. Anything, just a small that's kind of similar to my domain, but just slightly off. So it's technically a different domain. and I will buy personalized email address. It'll say grinder at thepacificgroups.com, and I will not use my original domain, right? And I would basically use icebreakers. Use ChatGPT to write your icebreakers, right? If you don't have icebreakers, I'll just tell them the truth of where they found them from. Hey, look, I found you on LinkedIn. I figured I'd reach out. No testing. So I think the biggest thing with cold email is testing. I think ultimately the market is about iterations. It's about how fast can you iterate? Can you put someone on the market and get feedback as quickly as possible? So go send out 100 emails, stop, get feedback. Okay, it didn't work. Let's make an even sweeter offer. And then go test that on the market. Oh, we got one response. Why did we get one response? Maybe start changing the personalized icebreaker, putting it at the bottom instead of the introduction, putting it as a PS. I don't know, whatever, right? A/B testing the subject lines, the call to actions, the messaging, really everything. You just overhaul everything eventually. Like for me, one of my best performing emails, I'm getting a 2% positive response rate. That was the 40th or 50th iteration of that email. But I will start changing everything. I'll be like, maybe I misspell their name, which, by the way, just I'm going to save you guys a bunch of time and pain. Don't do that. Do not misspell somebody's name, right? I've misspelled somebody's name and sent an automated sending an email right away. Oh, sorry, misspelled your name. Here's the correct version, asterisk. They don't like that at all. And those emails got destroyed effectively very, very quickly. But you could misspell other words in there, right? You could, is fascinating. You could get rid of the space in between. So it kind of looks real. And the fourth thing is no follow-ups. I would say about 60% of the positive response you're going to get are based on the first email, and maybe, I don't know, 20% or 20 to 30% are based on the second email, and whatever's left is based on the third email. And the third email is like, hey, look, I know you're busy. If you don't want me messaging anymore, let me know. I could reach back out in like 6 months. Thanks. And then generally they're like, oh, I'm about to lose this person who actually has something valuable to offer. I might as well respond to them. Just follow up. I think that's the name of the game. Even if somebody responds positively to me, in my second or third email when I first launch it, I will continue following up with them every single month for months on end, because sometimes it just takes some time to some people to mature. And that cold email that you sent them will be in the back of their mind. They might try it on their own, realize it doesn't work, and reach out to you in a few months. Okay, how to win with cold email. Use AI and automation, ChatGPT, right? Have ChatGPT write the messaging for you, but make sure you give it some very strict parameters to follow. Right. And you could input some of the best copy that you've ever written and just ask it to help you out a little bit. But do not rely on it completely. It has to come from you, because ChatGPT will go on the internet, find whatever templates are available, and use those templates to be able to send cold emails. The moment somebody publishes a cold email online, it stops working from that day. It's effectively useless after that day, because everybody's going to start using it and the market's going to be saturated with that type of copy. Second thing, focus on value, not just a sales pitch. There's two types of cold emails that we can send out. Number one, asking them to buy something. Number two is a lead generation campaign, where we're basically just saying, hey, let's jump on a meeting. And if they reject that meeting, then basically you want to say, hey, do you mind if I send you a Loom video? If they don't respond to that, be like, hey, do you mind if I send you a quick little PDF that basically gives you X and Y time? And here's how we did it for A, B, and C company. Optimized delivery. I think it's also a big one. Optimizing delivery basically means making sure the emails get delivered into the person's inbox. Because sometimes you might have the greatest email pitch in the world, but if they're not getting delivered into the inbox, nobody's watching it. And that will take the wind right out of your sales. The way I do that, I don't use inbox placement tests, which are available online and they do cost some money, but I don't think that they're that effective. Anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. Is the way I do it is I basically, depending on the season, I want my out of office response to be about 2 to 6% depending on the season. Christmas time, it could be as high as 8-10%, right? I basically count how many out of office emails that I get, because if you're getting out of office emails, that means the email is being delivered into the person's inbox. If the email is getting sent to the spam folder, the out of office trigger for that person is not gonna get triggered, so you won't get anything back from them. Last thing, I think this is all marketing is. Outside of finding inefficiencies, I think marketing is just about iteration. It's about putting someone on the market and getting it back and iterating from there. That's all it comes down to. The faster you test, the more knowledge that you have and the better campaigns that will run. And that's kind of what I try to frame my cold emailing copy on. Anyways, here's my video. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day.